We're at Normandy Beach. Say hello, Catherine. Okay. You've officially been introduced to my family back at home. It's going on YouTube.
Okay. Tell them a story.
Tell them a story?
Yeah.
We just watched Saving Private Ryan.
Like, can you imagine? Like,
this is like the opening. This is the opening scene. Mike, do people actually go swimming here in the summer?
Not right here. Some do, I'm sure, but
Like farther down the coast?
yeah, there are like villages down there.
Okay. But this is like where it all happened.
This is exactly where it happened.
Wow.
so them getting up, like they have to come all the way out to sea, get shot at.
You remember the opening scene in the movie?
Here, yeah.
When that boat opened? Like, that's what they're looking at. Except it was covered in machine guns.
Do people go out like metal?
Wow, that's pretty cool. So if you can imagine all those trees as machine guns shooting at you.
Bunkers all over the place.
Everybody, gather around!
Edge.
For a picture.
Iron.
But yeah, this is where D-Day officially started. It's crazy.
Sorry.
I'm standing on dead people. Well, maybe not anymore, but
I guess I'm on camera, huh?
yeah.
Dude, I was about to pick my nose.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll go this way,
Oh,
then you can do it. It's very, very cool.
Just a. Man, you should get inside my head sometime. Yeah, it's insane. So this right here is Omaha Beach. That's not the real name of the beach, of course. That was the code name given by the invading forces. How many of you were awake for the first 10 minutes of Saving Private Ryan? Most of you?
There's 9 minutes, yeah.
Right here. This is exactly where it happened. When that door came open, this is what they were looking at. This hill right here is where the Germans had fortified with machine guns, that whole thing right along the entire coast, as far as you could go. You guys know why this invasion happened? Why?
The Germans.
That's a very general.
Well, they wanted to do it like a third area that France being attacked upon.
Well, France had already fallen.
The Russians? No, I would like. No, the Germans were here.
The Germans in 1940, the Germans invaded France. The Nazis invaded and conquered France. Okay, and so the Allies, America was not yet in the war. It was basically left to Britain, which is right over there. Okay, and Germany knew that if the U.S. and Britain were going to like come back and bring the fight, they would need to eventually invade Europe at some point. Think about it. He had all of Europe. So the only thing left is that island of Britain. So the big question was not if are they coming, but when. So along the entire coast, all the way up north into Belgium, all the way down to Spain, they called that the Atlantic Wall. They literally built fortifications all around, just waiting, like where's it going to come? Where's it going to come? And the big guessing game was are they going to go up north? It's much more narrower, the English Channel up there, like by the Channel. That's why they built the Channel up there. Here it's actually pretty wide. So what the Allies did, which was pretty clever, was they had to keep the Germans guessing. So they built, while they were amassing this huge force of people to invade, this was 4 years after France fell. Bear in mind, the Germans had 4 years to build this up. It wasn't overnight. The British started building fake inflatable armies.
What?
They built tanks and container trucks and everything made out of balloons and plywood and cardboard.
What the?
And they let Germans fly overhead and photograph it, so that when Hitler's looking at all these things, he's like, shit, they got a massive army up there, maybe they're going to attack up there, but then they've got all these guys down there. They had no idea where it was going to come. But in fact, they have famous photos of a guy like walking up, like picking up a tank, because it's a balloon. Another thing they did is immediately prior to the invasion, way far north of here, they had airplanes flying back and forth across the channel, dropping tin foil out of the airplanes. Because radar at the time was not like it is today. It was very basic, but you have some German radar operator, look at this thing, he just sees this giant cloud of something. way farther north here. Oh shit, they're coming! You know. So that guessing game kept the Germans from keeping like all of their army here, which would have been a nightmare. Already, you saw how difficult it was. Imagine if they were ready for us. So the biggest invasion in the history of the world happened right here. The boats came off and landed here. Look up some photos of it sometime. It's impressive. I mean, this is where it happened, but you would never recognize it. Farther up this way, you can, on a smooth day, you can see it from here just barely, but I saw it when we were walking down, so look for it on your way up. Just to the left of us here, right, you can kind of see those bumps on the water, like near the coast, way up on the horizon. Those are artificial ports. And if you notice, like, it's really shallow here. This is a beach, which means if you have a great big boat, you can't get very close. Probably not much closer than that great big boat before you hit the bottom, you know? That's what makes a harbor a harbor. It's deep. You can get a big boat in there. So they wanted to land here, but this is a horrible place to bring a big ship. Nothing much bigger than those landing crafts with soldiers in them. So what they did is, in England, they built these great big floating docks that they dragged over behind ships. And they're still there today. They set up this giant artificial man-made harbor. And it's called Aeromanche, is where it is. And you can see, when you're up in front of the museum looking down the coast, because we're higher up, you can still see them. Really impressive. Where we're going after this is right around that point of land is where those big guns were. That is at Pointe du Hoc. We'll talk about that when we get there. But the reason they wanted those guns gone is because you can see that if you have great big guns up there, you can shoot down the length of the beach, which means it's pretty hard to miss. I mean, if you shoot too short or too far, you're still hitting something. So here we are. That's just a little bit of the history. This is where the quote-unquote good guys came in, and everything up until defeating them in Berlin happened right here. This is where the starting line was, and that's why it was so important. So straight ahead, you can't miss it. Right, that American flag shows you where it is. We'll go through the cemetery. That's completely up to you. You don't need to follow me at all. Go through it, look around. If you have any questions, like, come and see me. If I know the answer, I'll tell you. I don't think we're gonna get rained on, but it's kind of menacing. We want to be back at the bus at 3, okay? So you have an hour and 15 minutes to do whatever you want to check things out. I'd say check out the chapel, check out the statues at the end, spend some time looking at the graves, they're pretty impressive. And the Garden of the Missing behind the monument, that's pretty important too. So. That's at the next place. That's
History 101. Oh yeah.
That's good.
That's the most history I've learned in one day, ever. Anyways, okay, let's go to the graveyard.